really know what's going on over there other than everybody's dumb.
The instant you step out of line, you say something that they don't like and they don't like you personally, they're going to use all those pre-existing laws and they're going to use it on you.
Woman exposed her male genitalia to women and underage girls. That's what happened.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way. It's super cringe.
Hola, buenos dias, que pasa, and all the other Irish phrases we know and love. Eric Butler, TatumReport.com, UnAuthorizedOpinions.com. Maybe you've seen our ads on Spotify this week. I think they're going well. Shout out Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and of course, iHeartRadio for the millions and billions watching on there. And thank you for everybody watching on everywhere else. Getter, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Please like and share. How are you, Eric? How was St. Patrick's Day? Are you too old to party now?
Oh yeah, way too old to party now on St. Patty's Day. I totally forgot about it. Because I haven't really cared about St. Patty. If I'm going the party route, I gotta wait until Cinco de Mayo, or some people might call it Drinko de Mayo. But yeah, they did have a couple streets and stuff blocked off around my house. It's pretty annoying because they're partying for St. Patty's Day on top of spring training baseball that's everywhere. So a bit frustrating, but I'm just a grumpy old guy at this point. So whatever.
Well, my friends and I, we went to go to Chuck's Roadhouse, half price apps after 9. Everybody loves that in this economy. It was full. They rented out the entire venue for their own staff, which I hope means that they were still paying for drinks, or otherwise you're just losing thousands of dollars that night. Packed in there. Went across the street to what's the place I went to that I've never been to before? Applebee's. Never been to an Applebee's before. Completely empty. Totally different vibe. I think we liked it because we're all senior citizens at this point in our lives.
Could I just say something really quick about Applebee's?
Of course.
We used to go there when I was in high school, like after basketball games and stuff, because it was right near the campus. And I remember even being young and feeling like the food was gross. Like, because as a kid, you'll typically eat anything, but I feel like the chicken tasted like fish, and the fish it was all cooked on the same cooktop or the same grease or something. It was very strange, but that was many years ago. So I'm sure they're doing better now.
It just felt like it was we were in a basement, a romper room. There was not many people there, but it was good. It's just cost $80 to eat, and that's why we go to Chuck's Roadhouse, because it's half price apps, and you can eat at a normal price instead of.
But you have to wait until 9 p.m. But you have to wait until 9.
That's fine. You go on a Friday or Saturday. Whatever, Eric. St. Patrick's Day special. I'm wearing green. Lots of stuff happening this weekend, but we're going to throw it back to some of the best St. Patrick's Day stories. The leprechaun. We've got cultural appropriation. We've got Weather Lady gone awry. Let's go ahead. This is a classic video.
Please,
What's
please.
that?
We have to address the elephant in the room before we go to St. Patty's Day, which I am actually looking forward to because you have some stuff that I think I haven't seen. But I just want to say that we are aware of the Trump thing. Okay, just so you know that we know.
Yes.
We know about that. Everybody's beating it into a paste right now. Horseface, Stormy Daniels, Michael Avenatti, all complete scumbags. The entire political establishment is despicable for this. So just a little housekeeping, as one enormous podcaster might say. Just a little housekeeping.
You might say so. Something's going on with Getter, I feel like, Eric, where it doesn't automatically load. I can't tell if it's working properly. But if you're on Getter, please reshare it, because we are having thousands of people every week, and then all of a sudden it's gone down to like 100. I don't know what happened at Getter. There's some stuff going on behind the scenes, I've been told. And I don't know if you noticed, they changed their name of Vision to G Talk, which is, I don't know what that means. Like is it? That's like taking reels from Instagram and you're going to name it like films or something. It's pretty similar to TikTok. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if the interface has changed, but we were once the most popular podcast on Getter. And now I don't know if we're too racy even for them. We're gonna have to find out on our own time.
Dude, we haven't done anything. We haven't. We
exist.
Anything. Okay. All right, but forget her. All right, whatever. Doesn't matter. We're supposed to, a fun, lighthearted St. Patty's Day episode.
It never is. It's never fun in this world, Eric.
What's this? What's going on here? There we go. Dead air. Shut up.
It's not working for us. For you, eh?
Oh, no, I can't see it. Nope.
Okay. Well,
that was a Sunny joke, though. I know we were talking about Sunny earlier, and I don't know if you remember the episode where they do a podcast. It's really quite funny.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, this is why we're not signing up.
Well, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile say a leprechaun is taking up residence in their neighborhood. A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community. Many of you bringing binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
What year is
it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah?
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead who got hold to the wrong stuff. And it told him to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
We'll get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, it's still on there, guy. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, man.
This guy dressed in
This guy
tactical
helping
gear.
to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the leprechaun. He's suited up from head to toe.
This wars off spells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where to go. I want to go. Give me the go. I want to go.
This is Brian Johnson, NBC 15 News.
People will do anything for a pot of gold. I mean, anything.
You know what I like? I like the amateur sketch of the leprechaun. It
Yeah,
looks like somebody got a really good look at it and got that good drawing out there.
Who did that? I want to know who sketched that.
I don't know. Maybe Brian sketched it.
Doodling.
That was a good story.
So where exactly is that from?
So I
10 years old.
Yeah, so I was literally asking myself those questions that you just asked me, right? So the clip was posted to YouTube in 2017, but it's obviously older than that. If judging by the clothes, I'm going to say like 06, 05, somewhere between 05 and like 08, if I had to guess, right? And you see the old camera phones, the old flip phones that some of the people were holding. And then I Googled NBC 15, and I think it's out of Wisconsin, I believe. But
Interesting accents out there.
WPMI, WPMI. I believe that is from, or is it Michigan? WPMI. Let's see. Hang on. Let's see.
I like the guy in tactical gear, the black eye.
Oh, Alabama. Actually. That makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so I guess there's.
Why does that make more sense, Eric?
Well, the accents.
Oh, okay.
The accents.
I thought maybe you were being sexist or racist or somethingist.
No, I would never do that. But look, dude, I love this clip. Right, it's just like simpler times. They're all. I mean, it's complete. It's off the wall, right? There's obviously
it might be a crackhead.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, the sketch. I mean, Saturday Night Live hasn't done anything that funny in 3 decades, right? So I love it.
3 decades?
Yeah, bro.
Since 1993, it hasn't been funny. I disagree with that.
Let me know then. When was it funny?
Early 2000s was funny.
I can't remember. All I can remember is them being political hacks. So I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded. I mean, Chris Farley. It hasn't been funny since. It hasn't been funny since I wasn't even old enough to watch it. Okay, So I could go back, I could go back and watch sketches from the 80s and 90s when my mom wouldn't even let me stay up late enough to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember any funny sketch from Saturday Night Live. I'm not
You know what
saying
you really don't remember is the Canadian version of this, which is called SCTV. You were sending me stuff today saying, "Oh, how you don't remember this?" It's like, well, we didn't have it in this country. So there's a bad sketch show called SCTV. I'll bring it up in a second.
I can't believe you're
And
going to bat for Saturday Night Live right now, and I
I'm
can't
sorry.
believe you.
Oh, should I just pretend that it wasn't funny then, just to placate you?
Well, I don't remember it ever being funny. Is the point I'm making? So you're gonna have to prove
The
it.
era with Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan and a bunch of them was pretty funny era. So I'm not willing to lie for you, Eric.
This is going to be, as some might say, an unauthorized opinion.
Some might say this, yes.
Will Ferrell's not funny.
I know many people who agree with you, but he was funny on that show. SCTV was a bad Canadian sketch comedy show that was do you know who Eugene Levy is? From American Pie, old man with the eyebrows.
Yeah.
He was on that. John Candy was on that. These are like some of the greatest Canadian stars. The man Rick Moranis is famous too. He was on that. You know who that is? Spaceballs and a whole bunch of other movies.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I can't. Wait, Eugene Levy is Canadian? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the eyebrows. And then I don't know if Dan Aykroyd was ever on it. He was on Saturday Night Live. But yeah, these are the things that you don't know about that I could have just been like, oh, you don't remember this? You don't remember YTV, Eric? You don't? Did you have? Are You Afraid of the Dark? Did you have that show?
Of course, we had that.
Whatever. Did you have Student Bodies?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, you don't. I can't believe you didn't remember this. What did you send me? Some painting thing?
Yeah, you don't remember. I mean, that was like.
How can I remember something that was never presented to me?
I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong word. Remember is not the word, but I thought for sure. Well, because you had sent me something from the 90s, and then I saw that clip. Somebody sent it to me actually, and because I remember it, I didn't have it, but I remember wanting it. I remember wanting the rainbow art set, the drawing set.
Did you have the big comfy couch?
I think that was. I think I'm a little bit too old for that. I remember it, but I don't remember watching it.
Clown on that. Choose to.
Like I remember like seeing it, but maybe skipping it, like trying to wait. I think I was. There was a reason. I remember the name, but I don't remember actually watching it. I don't remember the characters from that show. Not at all.
We're gonna have to have a '90s episode when you're here. I think is the right thing to do.
I'd agree.
And you'll be made a fool of because you're just gonna be like, "Oh, didn't you have this?" And it's like,
well,
weren't you inside a Zaxby's in the 1995, Andrew? This thing that's never been in Canada before?
Well, look, Zaxby's. I don't know where you got that from because that I didn't even know what that was. I mean, I've never even been to one. I think they're only in the South.
Sonic, Checkers, TGI Fridays.
I don't know how we got here, but
if I wasn't so culturally versed in American culture and perhaps even BET and black culture as a whole, Eric, this would be a whole different show. You'd be talking right over my head all the time.
Well, I know about
culturally
Canada.
literate is what I was looking for.
I know about maple syrup and hockey and poutine and Justin Bieber and of course Drizzy Drake, Six God. You know, I know about all that.
I had some maple syrup today.
I'll bet you did.
I had pancakes. What do you eat on pancakes?
This might sound weird. I do. Don't get me wrong. I like pancakes with syrup, but jam. If you have jam with pancakes,
waffles.
I could go either way too. Syrup or jam, both work. Or even stick with me, honey.
That's fine. It's a sugary liquid. We have trees here, Eric, that if you poke a hole in them, sugar just comes out. That's what maple syrup comes from.
Yeah, we don't have all we have here in Arizona is just cacti. Is that the right word?
Cacti is correct. Cacti. All right, let's get to a story. It's your fault. We've gone way off the reservation here. No pun intended. No racial insensitivity intended. I got a big it was probably a cat hair on my microphone. Over the weekend, the San Jose Sharks NHL hockey team, the NHL has just been barreling towards low ratings, barreling towards everything we do is racist. And they had another Pride night. If you remember a few months ago, a Philadelphia Flyers Russian player that makes him double evil didn't go out for a Pride warm up, is what they do. Didn't wear the Pride jersey. San Jose, California, which I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, you're from California. San Jose has a very strong Latino community, doesn't it? Like a lot.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that's about an hour south of San Francisco and pretty heavily Latino. Yes, that'd be correct.
So it's just confusing to me. I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth, but I don't know why this would be top of mind for the San Jose Sharks. Not only that, but their jerseys appear to be done by a 12-year-old. It's a shark inside of a heart. The heart has 2 hockey sticks under it. The hockey sticks are usually part of the Sharks logo, but these sticks have Pride tape on them. And then on the top part of the stick, where the knob is usually formed, has a tape that says love. Now, what I'm noticing here is a mistake. If you can see where my cursor is that there is a knob inherently on the stick. That's not how sticks are, actually. They're actually flat at the top, and the tape is used to create the knob so that you can hold on to the stick. So, further suggesting that the person who made this logo is an idiot. And then, so here they are all gleefully wearing their Pride logos and worshiping the Pride
that's dark.
God.
That's dark. Can you go back to scroll back to the last one really quick once more?
Yes, I can.
Oh, am I reading too much into this, or is the tape there at the bottom? Does it actually have the extra? So not just the Pride flag, but
Is
the
that
progress,
native? The Two Spirit or something?
the trans and the black and brown, the triangle. Is that what I'm seeing there?
You don't see the black and brown on here. There's actually white and yellow, and I'm not sure what those mean.
Okay. Well, this is.
I think the yellow with the circle is like Two Spirit. Regardless, this is terrible. And my argument here, Eric, is if we're having a Pride night, their argument's going to be, hey, why can't we be an inclusive thing? And this isn't political at all. Of course, this is not political at all to say, not only do we accept gay, lesbian, and bi people, which everybody does, and I'll get to those statistics a bit later. I wrote about that recently, but it's not political to be like, we're also celebrating, gender confusion and other things that are statistically less than 1%. You might get up as high as 1.2% of the population, which is a lot of people, but only when the population is a large size. So we could also talk about, why not furry night? Why is that not included yet? This is statistically a relevant amount of people. Polygamy night. If you're going to try to say that these things aren't political, then why can't we have all these things? Why can't we have, what's to stop the Black Hebrew Israelite night? So if political and gender ideology beliefs aren't a political thing, which all this inherently is, because you're pushing some sort of agenda, then why can't we have these other strange nights? That's what I would argue. So they're doing that, Eric. And of course, just like in Philadelphia, where one guy had a problem with it for religious reasons, a former Maple Leafs player, so shout out James Reimer, had this to say. He said, under the umbrella of the NHL's Hockey is for Everyone initiative, the Sharks have chosen to wear jerseys in support of Alphabet Community Night. And I like how he takes a little jab at them by saying it's hockey is for everyone, but he's saying not me, I guess. For all 13 years of my career, I've been a Christian, not just in title, but in how I choose to live my daily life. I have personal faith in Jesus. Tra-la-la-la-la. In this specific instance, I'm choosing not to endorse something that is counter to my personal convictions. And I see some comments where people say, oh, doesn't he eat pork or something, or eat shellfish? And it's very interesting. It's not only do they want to say you can't judge anybody for what they believe in, but if your beliefs counter ours, then your beliefs must be followed exactly the way that I want them to be followed. So what if he was a Scientologist and he didn't want to do that. Would that be okay? If he was Muslim and he didn't want to do that, would that be okay? Or then do you then police what people are allowed to believe? Now, I'm on the side, of course, that if you are religious, if you claim to be part of a club, which in a way people aren't going to like it, but in a way that's what a religion is, a belief system. You may or may it depends on the level of which you believe in it. I think you should be consistent, right? I'm one of those people who might agree with that sentiment, but I'm also not one of those people that says you have to believe in everything somebody else believes in. I'm not going to say that you have to believe in transgender stuff or else you can't participate in the sport of hockey, which is what some of these people say. So to tell James Reimer that he has to follow everything from his Bible in order to please you, then you would also have to say that he does not have to adhere to your belief system just because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to believe everything I believe in, and you can't have your own set of beliefs, is basically what the community's saying. But on a more, a more simplistic level, Eric, I think that this is obviously a case of you must figuratively, and in some cases literally bend the knee to this sort of ideology.
Yes, and this is just obviously it's all about control, right? I mean, as it is with every single thing. So, who we saw this with the Toronto Raptors a couple weeks ago as well, right? Who is this for? Does the NHL truly think that they are winning people over with this? No, they know they're not. But they're doing it because they answer to somebody different than just the bottom line. Of course, the bottom line is always important, but they have to answer to somebody else. I still don't know who this is. We discuss it every week. I talk about it on my channel. I don't know who this entity is, where it's actually coming from, but they would rather piss a couple of people off to push the agenda, and the people who are mad about this, or the people who or maybe even celebrate, like they weren't watching hockey anyways, so they're reaching out into this other population that wasn't even privy to their. It's just they're just I don't know, these professional grievance, shakedown artists or whatever that are constantly doing this. And you did mention one thing about a Muslim, right? Like, if he were Muslim, would it be okay? And the answer is, of course, no, because it's always about their agenda. And there's a story here about a Muslim TikTok influencer. Maybe you saw this. I should have sent it to you. But there's a Muslim TikTok influencer who called out, what's the guy's name? What's the weirdo transgender guy from TikTok? This is incredibly dark.
Dylan Mulvaney?
No. He's like Dylan Mulvaney's dad almost.
Yeah, I don't know that guy's name.
Jeffrey Marsh. Jeffrey Marsh.
Okay.
Jeffrey Marsh. So a Muslim lady who I believe has like millions of TikTok subscribers or followers or whatever, called him out. Okay. A Muslim woman with the hijab, the headscarf, the whole thing, quote unquote traditional, called him out. And she's supposed to have all the victim cards on the planet, right? She's a Muslim. She's a woman of color. And she says this guy is preying on children. And she gets literal death threats from allies, as they call it, quote unquote ally, for her and her children. That if she doesn't shut up, they're gonna they know where her kids go to school. So obviously that's anecdotal, but it does not matter what religion you are. Okay. It really doesn't. The whole thing is to obey. So they're going to always pretend, oh, it's racism, oh, it's sexism, but it doesn't matter, right? When it comes down to the bottom line, it truly doesn't matter. And the last thing here, I wanted to send you this article. I don't know if you can take a look at it, but we're constantly talking about pride, okay? Pride night, LGBTQ night. But why, when it comes to schools, they're hiding it from parents? Because every single one of their talking points and agendas will always, if followed to its logical conclusion, will be at direct odds with another one of their talking points.
Some sunshine, 60. Thursday, partly.
That's a mistake. Ignore that.
Okay. So they're doing Pride Night constantly, right? And they do the whole month in June and they force it down your throat. But if you're so prideful, why are you hiding it from parents at a school? So I realize this isn't directly related, but you see the point I'm trying to make. You're constantly jamming down everybody's throat and claiming Pride Night and love wins. But at school, you hide it from parents. Why, if you're so proud of it?
Because, Eric, they will argue, well, this is their argument, that it is not anyone's business but the child's what their gender identity and everything, what their feeling is. So they don't think it's safe for them to talk to the parents because their parents might not react the way they want to, which, of course, is the separation of the belief systems, whereas you should affirm everything as opposed to teach the children otherwise, which is why it's insane because you're not the kid's parents. I mean, that's the real reason is they think they're more important than the parents and that they know what's better for the kids. So they are willing to broom them, that's broom with a B, um, into what they think is best because we've gone past people hiding whether or not they think, am I frozen?
You're frozen. I can hear you, but you're not moving or anything. Your camera's frozen.
How about now?
Say something. Talk. Move. Yeah,
I'm
much
saying
better.
something.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
much better.
I'm back.
You're back.
Okay. So what was I saying? So we've gone past the time where people are not going to come out and explicitly say that they know better, but that this is what they believe now is they know better and your children don't need to listen to you because what they need to do is be affirmed and no matter what they believe in, which makes no sense, of course. You don't do it for any other topic other than gender. And they don't want to hide it anymore. And I think what this highlights, Eric, in what you were saying about the Muslim woman having a problem with the child or like brooming, of course, is that this is going to come to a head in places like Minnesota, which I think is a very interesting social experiment done by the U.S. government, where they brought in a lot of East African immigrants, not an inherent problem, you might say. Ilhan Omar is representing there, so it's a lot of Somali people, a lot of East African people, very devout Muslims. That's a part of the world where female genital circumcisions happen a lot. There's also a lot of alleged election fraud going on there, and they have a lot of strict beliefs, of course, being Muslim. And then you've also got this is the area where there's a lot of left wing hyper Democrats there, not just Ilhan Omar, but you've got Amy Klobuchar is in this area. You've got these people um, in government, and this is going to eventually clash where it becomes, in simple terms, communists versus Muslims. The Muslims will win. They are stronger. They are smarter. Their beliefs are a lot longer held and more for better or for worse, well thought out. And they're not going to back down as easily. This happened in England where they were wanting to teach pride stuff in school and the Muslim community where it was, whether you disagree with it or not. I'm not here to, say Muslim values are what I support because they're not, but they go to the school board and they get it stopped. So that's what would eventually happen, I think, if these things ended up clashing in a political and literal sense.
Yeah, but and that also speaks directly to my point of if you take their talking points and their agendas, if you take all of their ideas, all their radical ideas to their logical conclusion, they will 100% always conflict with another one of their ideas. And that's a perfect example of it. So, yes, we're always pretending, oh, women of color, Muslims, different religions, tolerance and stuff. But then when that religion says, you know what, we're not doing the transformer thing, then they got a problem. And it happens with every single thing, right? We see them. They used to love Elon Musk and Tesla, but now they can't do that anymore, right? They said, oh, we don't know what a woman is, but now we're in Women's History Month. The list goes on and on.
Well, let's watch this Sharks video that they had. Very weird. You got the jerseys. I recognize these players' names. Silicon Pride Valley Pride. I don't get that. Okay. Like that's about all you need to really say though. If they're being sponsored by Silicon Valley Pride, that's the long and short of it right there. And then you've got
These are those are the guys. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, those are the guys they would love nothing more than to re-educate these old guys. Like that's them saying, look, everybody's down. These are the people that we called racist. We would call racist any day of the week because they're older white men. But now they're in this commercial and we've basically re-educated them.
you see the type of guys these are. It's like, first of all, this guy and this guy seem attracted to this. Like, this is a guy. So you've got these hockey fans that are, I'm going to say, at least 35 to 40 years old here, standing in this room with, is that a child in the corner? Yes, it is. I think over here, watching as a man in San Jose Sharks themed eyeliner dances in front of them. And you can see, I just want to get it back a bit there. They're all looking at him with, maybe they're gay guys. I don't know. Maybe that's why they're there. But these are adult men allowing this to happen. And I just want to know why. And a lot of the sports reporters you'll see reporting on this, the sports writer community is very weak. And when you go to hockey, it's very weak. You're only going to get strongly held opinions, I think, in like football and soccer overseas, because a lot of these people they're not held to account by anyone. They're sports writers. They have very liberal opinions and they don't care, because basically what happens in hockey is you shut up and you go along with it. You're taught to be professional. You're taught to not rock the boat and give any risky opinions. That's how it is. And this is what happens to your sport. They're going to go further and further away from fighting. One of the junior leagues announced recently that they're getting further and further away from it in Canada and Quebec particularly. And now they've got their diversity board.
That was like the whole thing, right? I mean, we used to joke back in the day. I didn't grow up playing hockey or anything, but that was like always the running joke, is that like people watch it for the fights. I mean, whether it's true or not, it was like
so teal together. This is the interesting thing. You go to a place these days, Eric, and you see everybody's welcome here, and you're just like, oh, I was not under the impression that gays and trans were not welcome here. So I don't know why you feel the need. Like, do people walk around and be like, oh, I can't go into that coffee shop, I'm gay? Like, nobody assumes that. Nobody did assume that. It's the same thing, Eric, how they act like there were no black people in movies prior to 2016 or something like that. And you go back and watch a movie from the late 80s and early 90s, and tons of, I was going to make an OJ Simpson joke. I was going to say murderers are in it, but that's just alleged. He was innocent, you guys.
Well, I think, and, I don't know if you know this, and I can't be certain, but I think there were black people in movies before the 90s.
Yeah, and in the 80s too. And no, we were at a point, believe it or not, everybody in society, that nobody cared about race. And I know people will argue that it was like, it just wasn't talked about because the oppression was swept under the rug. But we were actually at a point where you turned on the TV and you didn't actually notice whether or not it was, or the races in the commercial, or were there enough transgender or lesbians in the commercial. That actually, this whole representation matters thing wasn't actually a thing for a long time, because it just went with whoever the best actor was. For example, I mean, Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 and Police Academy and all those other movies, nobody was just like, there's not enough black or white people in it. It was sort of just like, are these movies good? And I know that's hard for people to think about now, as we just sort of only now get over the Superman's gay era of things. But correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but I don't recall there being like arguments about representation in movies in Hollywood back then.
No. Well, of course, I mean, that's all astroturfed. That's all completely fake. It's been, foisted upon us via social media and these, new media hacks. But of course, the representation thing is completely fake, right? Because they don't want true representation, right? Anytime Clarence Thomas says something, they lambast him as a, Uncle Tom or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so they don't want true representation and everything. They don't want my representation. They don't want Candace or Brandon. They don't want Larry Elder. They don't want representation across the board. That's obviously completely false. They want somebody who is going to, parrot their talking point. And it's the same thing with everybody is welcome here. That, of course, means the exact opposite, right? When they say everybody is welcome here, and we knew everybody was welcome there. We knew nobody was going to stop you from going into a hockey game because they were gay. But what that means is there's certain people who are not welcome here. right?
Mhm.
So if you're in San Jose, California, right outside of Silicon Valley, whatever, 30 miles south of San Francisco, everyone's welcome here means there's no, a MAGA hat is not welcome. That's their subliminal. That's their passive aggressive way of saying no, you're actually not welcome here, right? You remember a guy Philip Anderson? I don't know if you remember him. Who
No.
knows? I don't know whatever happened to him. He was like a quote unquote influencer who organized a free speech rally. A black guy, for the record. Okay, if that matters. He organized a free speech rally a couple years ago, back in 2020. In San Francisco, and got his teeth knocked out. So that sign that says everyone is welcome here means you know exactly who's not welcome here. You know exactly what you're not allowed to say. That's what it means. It's the same thing as the representation. Pretending we want representation everywhere means it means you represent us. You don't you're not going to go there are people there still somehow in March 2023 who are still in this bubble to the point where they truly don't believe, like a guy like Amir Odom, right? This like little gay black influencer guy who, I wouldn't call him like a Trump supporter, but he's like a common sense dude. And we don't have to agree about his, all the things that he does. But there are people in San Francisco right now who still can't even fathom the idea that a gay black person is not going to melt down at the sight of a Donald Trump supporter. They can't realize it. And it's crazy because we're so deep in it. I'm so deep in it that you can spot all the propaganda, all the nonsense right off the top. But it's crazy to think, and I learned this just the other day with the little conversation I had on Instagram. There are people who are still fully controlled. And I mean that in the sense that they truly cannot see. If you have a guy in San Francisco destroying public property and they're literally saying, well, you just need to have some compassion. Well, bro, how come this isn't happening everywhere? You guys have played they're so deep in the claws, the establishment claws are so deep in their brain that there's nothing they will do any level of mental gymnastics to maintain their agenda. They're still, I don't know if it's just pure brainwashing, if they're actually scared that somebody might lash out against them, or there's a number of reasons why this could be, but it's still astonishing to me that there are some people still so deep in it they can't understand that everyone is welcome here means you are not allowed to express any opinion that differs from us. And it's crazy to think that's
well, I think you can
how did you even make it this far in life without thinking one thought for yourself?
I think it's weird. Like, you can give some leeway to, everybody maybe under 25 years old. And I don't know what that thing was, but when you got like 40-year-old men like they showed who just can't understand why we're just supporting pride. What do you mean? Like, they can't understand why anyone would have a problem with it. Then you're either in like this, you got children out here carrying that. If you can't understand that, then either you're just blatantly for this political movement or you're just dumb. Like, you don't have to, everyone out there, you don't have to give the benefit of the doubt to, a man over 25, let's say. There's a little bit of leeway, I understand. But once a man, becomes a man, you don't have to make excuses for him. You don't have to say, oh, he maybe he meant well, or maybe he's just confused. He doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't know what he's supporting. There aren't any excuses because the government and the internet doesn't make excuses for you. They don't give you bonuses. You don't get payouts for not understanding things fully. You don't get extra vacation time for being an innocent man. So there's no other leeway in the rest of life. So I don't think there's any reason why we need to give any.
I think they've been scared into submission, and they don't even realize that they've been scared. So we saw that clip from the Whatever podcast. I'm sure you saw that clip floating around where those girls say, "I'm not comfortable saying this." Because you have stories like the Muslim woman where they threaten her kids, and these girls don't even have kids, but they know that they can't be on the wrong. They know that they can't be on the wrong side of that mob because they're so scared. And now there's a handful of people, notably, who are not afraid of the mob, and would welcome the conflict. But I think that's what you're seeing when you have a 35 or 40-year-old man who's pretending he can't see through it, who's going to say, "Oh well, love is love," and like, trans women are women, and all these talking points. They've just been. I mean, that's mission accomplished for the establishment. They've been scared into submission to the things they know to be true. They will not state for fear of retribution.
Well, did you hear about this UFC fighter over the weekend who came out or he was caught being gay? And you'll understand what I mean when I say caught. I'm going to go ahead and share this right now. First of all, he's not a well-known fighter, but he had a video of him performing some sort of act on another man leak, and he couldn't take it like a man. He said that he was not how he wanted to come out, but then he went ahead, which is fine. I mean, nobody cares if you're gay anyways, and I'll get to why that is in a second, why that's should be obvious. But he said that he didn't want to do it because he's worried about the response, and he called, MMA fans homophobic. I've tried to keep my dating life private from social media. Thought of my buddies, teammates, and people I look up to me being different, let alone treating me different for something I can't control was something I couldn't fathom. In a sport like this, where a majority of the fans being the homophobic sea suckers that they are, I don't see myself doing this. Doing this part of my career. During this part of my career, I want to be known for my skills. Well, first of all, he's not that well known for his skills, so that can be thrown out the window. But first of all, nobody cares that you're gay, and the amount
he claims he's bisexual.
Yes, he's bisexual.
But you had it right the first time, okay?
The amount of lesbian fighters, you can't even count. There's so many of them, and literally nobody cares. Like, that literally never comes up. That's why MMA has the best following, and it's not because they're afraid of gay people, as this man claims. He just doesn't like that he got caught basically making a video of him doing this stuff, and at the same time he wasn't ready to tell people. That's fine if you didn't want to tell people. That's your own prerogative, but nobody actually cares. And this goes to the broader problem of making your sexuality or your gender your entire identity. And people want to act like not caring about that is somehow homophobic or something. Like, no, like, you could be gay. I'm not against gay people. And I know that's the number one thing people jump to, but nobody actually cares is the thing. And the people that care so much about it are the ones like this who say, you should care about it because people are dying and people are hurt and there's violence happening and all this stuff. When in actuality is because you want attention. So something happened to him which gave him attention he didn't want. So he has to flip the script and give himself attention in a way that he wants, and then that's him being the victim. Amanda Nunes, best female fighter of all time, is gay. And there's several other ones that are gay right now in the UFC that openly talk about being gay and have girlfriends, and nobody cares. So you can't say that people are afraid of gay people because you got caught and didn't want people to know that you're gay yet. And the San Jose Sharks, Eric, they cited, and I'll go to my own Twitter for this in a second, they cited a study because, they did this whole all day sharing of Twitter stats about, what's that I just clicked on? I don't know. Twitter Blue. They did this all day sharing of, LGBT facts. There we are, Inception here.
Very meta.
And then, of course, my friend Dave was like, click on the source that they're using, because they said that, it was like 64% of kids getting harassed for being gay in school don't report it. So I was like, well, what do they mean by harassed? Because the definitions, this is why they always try to change the definitions of racism and all these different things of oppression and equity. They want to change the definitions so that it's what they mean and you think it's something way worse. So what do they mean by harassment? Well, you can go to the study they cited, negative factors in a school climate. So it's actually not even zoomed in better here. So this is what they mean when they say, people are mistreated in schools and therefore we have to be so super, give them everything they want. One of the reasons one of the indicators of negative school climate in 2021 for LGBTQ plus students is hearing biased remarks, including homophobic remarks. So hearing mean things, Eric, means you're being harassed or it's a negative school climate. So what if you heard somebody talking? We don't have any studies at St. Patrick's Day, Eric. What if people were saying mean things about Irish people? Leprechauns, drunks,
Fighting,
rolling
yeah,
hills.
fighting, or is like they're drunk, fighting Irish, right? That's the whole the mascot, right? Notre Dame.
Feeling unsafe in school. Now, if a kid feels unsafe in school because they're going to get beat up, that's a problem. But it's not because of that. Feeling unsafe in school because of personal characteristics such as sexual orientation, gender expression, gender or race ethnicity. So, if you feel unsafe because of who you are, without any physical intimidation, like feeling unsafe because of personal characteristics, well, then if it's because of race, then you've got some sort of weird racist school. And you're telling me that in 2023 or in 2021, there aren't support systems and there isn't overwhelming positivity? Show me the school that isn't bending over backwards to support the gay and trans community. Missing classes or days of schools because of safety reasons. The only way that any of this is legitimate if it's physical violence, but it's not. Experiencing harassment and assault in school online, and experiencing discriminatory policies and practices at school. So you're telling me that your school is discriminatory? I don't believe it. I don't believe their definitions, Eric.
No, of course, and you can tell in the very first one. Just go scroll up to the first highlighted one there. Hearing biased remarks, including homophobic remarks. So that alone should let you know, because we both know
exactly
anybody with two brain cells to rub together at this particular point in time can tell you that they've already bastardized the term homophobic. So, I mean, you could literally say, I don't want to watch a certain movie, and anything can be deemed homophobic. I mean, anything. So in that first bullet point, they've already negated everything else they're about to say, because anything, according to them, can just be considered homophobic. It doesn't have to. Same thing with the word racism. We see it all the time. So, I mean, you could literally say, I mean, there are people out there. These
words
weirdo
like
activists,
climate and everything.
What?
A climate. It's just whatever they want it to mean.
Yes, correct. But so you have people out there like Dylan Mulvaney, like Jeffrey Marsh. Those are just the big names right now, but they're all over the place. You can go look at TikTok or, hard left Twitter or whatever it is. But they will tell you that and we've seen this notoriously for the past couple of years, if you don't want to date a trans person, then that's transphobic. So the word itself isn't even real, right? We know what arachnophobia, fear of spiders, they just put their little prefix on it, turn it into something else to control your words and eventually your actions. So just by them using, including homophobic remarks, like that could, look, we're both old enough to remember, running around high school saying, "Oh, that's gay," right? That, of course, doesn't fly today. So anything can be considered, can be wedged into their political agenda. And I guess to bring it full circle, it is still astonishing to me that you have adults out there that can't see through it. Now, you do have good stories, right? Like there was a story that I did on my channel about a so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion director at a community college in the Bay Area, not far from, I believe it was De Anza College, which I believe is, in the vicinity of the San Jose Sharks, who she was hired as a diversity, equity, and inclusion instructor, or director, I should say, administrator, as she started questioning the policies, and they got rid of her. She's a black woman who said, this doesn't really make sense, and they got rid of her. And then you have another story in California where parents got word that their children were forced to watch a drag show at an assembly, and then the school came out and said, well, it wasn't mandatory. But do you think for one split second that school is going to say, okay, it's assembly time, if you guys don't want to go, then you can you have 45 minutes free to go walk around the neighborhood? No, of course they were forced to see that. But so I guess my point is, while it is astonishing that there are a lot of people who haven't become privy to this, it it does seem that there are slowly but surely people are starting to catch up to it. There's another story from late last year, I believe, where some women in the Bay Area started running for school board because it was just getting too extreme. And we're talking about basically where a lot of this stuff comes from, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, things like that. So there are people starting to stand up and say enough is enough. Last point here. There was a survey that I did a video on recently as well that shows Gen Z and millennials, quote unquote, have grown sick of women's rights and how it's become overbearing. Now, women's rights, I know it sounds like a specific thing, but I think we can all agree that when you say women's rights, that that's just kind of a Trojan horse for the overarching agenda, right? It just means obey. So it's slowly but surely the pendulum is swinging back, I think, but this machine is so powerful and so power hungry that, I mean, they're gonna arrest the former president, right? Based on something that a stripper and her lawyer, who is now supposed to be in jail, was convicted of extorting a major company, and they're gonna arrest Donald Trump because Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti. So this is how backwards it is, and this is how far they are willing to go. Is that they're wedging it into hockey, one of the I think more traditionally kind of masculine, let them fight sports, and they're wedging it into hockey, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But and I saw this meme, I posted it the other day. If this wasn't a winnable battle for common sense, then they wouldn't need all the propaganda. So as long as they keep going, we keep going. And
exactly, and that is why they want to go after hockey, because it is, fighting and manliness. And they can win in other places, but they tried football, they didn't really do well. Baseball doesn't do well because there's too many, Hispanic guys that, they come from communist countries and they come from poor countries. They don't want to hear it, and they're the stars in that league, so they have the star power. But they'll go with the league that's overwhelmingly white and has fighting and everything, because they see that in a sick way as, against their beliefs, because they care so much about race. Which I'm confident saying that most people don't actually. It's just they have to force it. But let's break it up here. I did want to mention that according to current statistics, the overwhelming majority of people who identify as LGBT are bisexual. It's somewhere it's 60%. I think 62% region. I wrote about this earlier, and it pretty much always has been. And the trans community amounts for somewhere between 1 and 2% of that of LGBTQ. So it's a very small minority. It's the weird thing, except if you talk about Gen Z, where it's 20%. 20% of Gen Z non-straight people are trans. But it's always 6 out of 10 times it's going to be a bi person. So it's really weird that you don't hear, like a bi lobby and stuff like that. Just saying. UnAuthorizedOpinions.com.
Okay.
Hold your thought, Eric. All right, hold it. Now, the power of Rap Snacks and Migos compels you. UnAuthorizedOpinions.com, brought to you by Rap Snacks. All your rappy goodness in one bag. UOPod.com. Thanks for watching on, Spotify. You can watch on YouTube, Twitter, Getter, and of course, anybody watching on Twitch, we support you as well. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, or iHeartRadio, please leave us a review. Sharing is what helps us the most. We've increased our volume. It's really going well, I think, Eric. And, drop us a line, follow us on Instagram, Report and Opine, and Andrew does, where we are shadow banned the most. But I think on audio streams, I don't think they've quite gotten there with the censorship yet. So our ads are doing well. Everything's doing well. Let's do a throwback to a weather lady on St. Patrick's Day. Let's get the weather report going here.
Wednesday, mild, some sunshine, 60. Thursday, partly sunny skies, and 57. And to another woman who likes to be double-fisted in a different way, I think, Jess.
She means beer. She means beer. Guys, she means beer. Don't put me on YouTube. My God.
Studio goes wild.
Yeah, we're going to take a pause. We're going to keep going. We're out in Reading right now, guys. We're watching Route 202.
First of all, was she even wearing green? But another person that loves to be double-fisted, they said. Thoughts, Eric, before
Well, well, I think you said it was a throwback, but I think that was current. I think that was like from this
Oh,
St. Patty's Day.
my apologies.
I'm pretty sure that was a new clip. But it's hilarious because she kind of it might have been able to slide under the rug or fly under the radar, I suppose, but she kind of made it made it hysterical, right? Like maybe people wouldn't have really taken it that way, but she had to take it there, and it makes it hilarious. And it also is very funny that there is no better way for you to end up on YouTube than to say, "Don't put this on YouTube."
Especially from a local news broadcast. Student club criticized after hiring dwarf actor to dress as leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day party. We wouldn't want to employ a person because of their height and, the way they were born. That would be mean. That's like, remember when the UK fired all the girls who waved the checkered flags, grid girls, at like racing events? And they're like, this is for your own good, girls. Well, like, taking away their jobs. It's all part of the plan, Eric. It's all part of the plan. We're talking about maple syrup. I had some, what's it called? The Old Mill or Milling Company syrup this morning as well. Formerly Aunt Jemima, now says on the Bible, the bottle. The Bible also says formerly, formerly Aunt Jemima. A popular student club in the UK. Interesting that it's there too. I didn't realize it. Is being criticized for hiring a dwarf actor to play a leprechaun for its annual St. Patrick's Day party. Manchester club Cargo is located in the popular Printworks complex, which also announced plans to host a leprechaun meet and greet excluded from the St. Patrick's Day party. So, number of students received a WhatsApp message from the party's promoter, DNA Events. Come up with a better name, kid. Earlier this week with details on what the party entailed. Scrolling down, and this is from buzz.ie. I don't know what that is. This Friday, we are hosting Manchester's biggest Paddy's Day event at Cargo, organizers said. There's a huge club dressing. I don't know what that is. Plenty of Irish hats and handouts. And we've got our own dwarf leprechaun that will be going around the venue and taking pictures all night. Flyer for the event, the Rumor Paddy's Day special, was also distributed. Featured a cartoon rendering of a leprechaun above a model wearing an Irish hat. You bastards. So, Eric, really quickly on this one, we've got another video to play before we go. What's wrong with this? Am I wrong? Or should we not hire the little person / dwarf, whatever they identify as?
No, well, they want to get rid of every single. You're not allowed to have fun. Okay, that's basically the bottom line. Is like no fun can be had. We are going to woke scold you into oblivion if you do anything. But I will say, at least glass half full here. At least they're kind of trying to play the same card with a stereotypically white person, because really they shouldn't care, because they don't white people, whatever, and you can't be racist against them. So at least I guess this is me giving them the benefit of the doubt, is that they are also complaining about racism against white people in this particular or it's not even racism though, it's they says, if you read the subtitle here,
it's weird.
This kind of casual racism toward Irish people in the community is nothing new.
They're acting like it's from an Irish point of view.
But they're mad because they hired a dwarf. So has nothing to do with racism, because we're talking about a dwarf and not, you know what? This is a mess. Play the next clip, I guess. Like none of it makes sense. You cannot have fun. That's the bottom line.
I think on one hand, it is people who are saying you have to do what I do again. And, I'm going to be the one who decides what's offensive and not. But on the grand scheme of things, I think behind it are some sick people who, they want to eliminate people from everyday life. They don't want little people to be in everyday life. They don't want black people on, products. That's what I think is.
Well, they do.
It's a bit of a black pill. It's a little bit of a, existential argument. But all these things, all they end up doing is eliminating groups of people for what they say is the greater good. Well, we don't want grid girls because you're sexualizing them, even though, OnlyFans exist and you're supposed to support that. All you're doing is taking jobs away from women and you force them into a different job, which they probably don't want. Little people can't be leprechauns. Okay, what jobs have you decided that little people are allowed to have?
You can
Same for the other stuff.
a stenographer in a backpack, where a little person in a backpack typing.
That's offensive.
But they're just replacing though, right? So they got rid of Aunt Jemima for Aunt Pearl Milling or Pearl Milling Company.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they put RuPaul, who is a black man, onto the Cheez-It box. So they're replacing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Cheez-Its suck anyways.
I used to like Cheez-Its. I can't say I've had them
Yeah, I
recently,
bet.
but I don't know why that's a shot at me. But
it's a racist remark.
So you take the black woman, you take an actual black woman off of the pancake in the syrup box, but you add a black man dressed as a woman to a Cheez-It box. So we know now in that particular situation that it's not about race. We knew that. We knew it wasn't about race. Well, it is in this like weird backwards way, but it's the same thing. They take down Christopher Columbus and then they put up a George Floyd statue. They're replacing everything with their new regime monuments, and it's absolute insanity.
Well, what they have in the old billing company is actually, if you did this on its own, it would be like considered racist by the same people that think having successful black actress on the bottle is racist. They're saying formerly known as Aunt Jemima. So we want you to buy this because it used to be called Aunt Jemima and it used to be based off of her, but we actually don't want to show her face. So you're putting the black person's name on the product to capitalize off of it, but you don't want to fully capitalize off of it by using her face. So you only want people to feel guilty or feel the good things they used to feel about Aunt Jemima and still give you their money without giving the credit to the person.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Adidas did that to Yeezy. Adidas did that
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's release the shoe without his name on it, and now they're just like, we kind of maybe want you to think of the shoe of Kanye so that you buy the shoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. This is an OG video from Cabot Phillips. I think he might work for Fox now. I forget who he works for, but he got let's call it a raise. I don't know. I think Campus Reform was his own channel, but he went up in the system, and this is from 5 years ago. I think is St. Patrick's Day cultural appropriation.
I'm Cabot Phillips with Campus Reform. With St. Patrick's Day right around the corner, we're here in New York City talking to college students about how they're celebrating and if them celebrating is actually cultural appropriation. What will they have to say? Let's find out.
Cabot Phillips makes me think that he grew up in, New Hampshire or Maryland. He had a pathway to become a football quarterback, and then he was like, no, the name Cabot, the way he dresses, I don't know.
It's like the guy from Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek was placed in Canada, so wrong again, Eric.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up. What are the first few things that come to mind when you think of the holiday?
I think of people getting drunk. I may go to a few bars, I'm not sure.
Going out a little bit, maybe hit the parade.
I think I'm coming to the city to go to the parade.
It's a big drinking holiday. Just people being drunk in the streets, having a good time, going to your local pub.
What do you think of when you think of what St. Patrick's Day celebrations look like?
A lot of alcohol and like partying and stuff like that of that nature.
So do you think that is committing cultural appropriation?
What?
If you're just using it as an excuse to drink, then I definitely see that as cultural appropriation.
I guess it could be perceived as that. I don't like when people do it to my culture, so it's just kind of like, how can I say I don't like people to do it to my culture and then...
But you said you're going to do it
Do you think
anyways.
when people celebrate that way that it's cultural appropriation?
I have a question here. What is Barnes & Noble Fit? Is this a gym? Or does it say at Fit?
Yeah, Fashion Institute, the Fashion Institute of Technology, I think, in New York.
That's stupid. So of course the correct answer to this, Eric, is no, it's not. But this just goes to show you, like, you can present a stupid idea to people that doesn't make any sense, and because they don't want to admit that what they actually believe in is stupid, in my opinion, then they're going to go along with it. So I could come up and be like, it's the same thing when people, ask why is transracial not allowed, but transgenderism is, because transracial makes more sense because, you can have varying degrees of races, unlike genders. And then they're just like, no, that's different. Just like here, these people are just like, oh no, somebody's gonna say no, it's different. It's my cult. It's not the same thing. White people don't have any culture, and the correct answer to all of it is just no. What do you think?
The correct answer is that cultural appropriation isn't even a thing. It's not real.
It's
like,
not
so yeah,
real.
so you could say like, okay, no, but it's not real. It's just like hate speech isn't real. Like a lot of these things. I mean, gender affirming care isn't real. None of this stuff is real. It's all created to control people, and unfortunately, it's working. So, look, I like this guy. Whatever, I have no problem with it. But I get the sort of gotcha nature of this, but it's all you're only you're gonna coax the mental gymnastics out of the people. And look, and that's more than half the battle, right? Is to get these people on camera looking stupid. I understand that, and a lot of people are good at making that happen. But you're wading in their territory. You're saying cultural appropriation, and you're never gonna win that game because they are gonna mental gymnastics you harder. They are going to jump through hoops harder.
Interesting point.
You can't, and this is why I say with all of this stuff, right? Once you get like, that's why I like guys like Matt Walsh and guys like Bryson. They don't even play and they don't even get in that dirt. They don't even get in that sandbox. We're not using their terms. None of that makes any sense, right? Like, well, gender affirming care, and no, bro, it's not even real. It's something made up to control you, and the fact that you're even using the term now is a step in the right direction for them. So,
Well, I could put
all
this in MMA terms for the viewers at home and say, why, if you're not good at jujitsu, why are you going to the ground with the guy? Like, there's just no need. Like, you're not going to win there. So, what's even the point of going to the ground when you could have a much better chance of winning standing up? That's how I'm doing my mental gymnastics.
I honestly don't know.
Why aren't we talking about cultural appropriation for St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
I honestly have never really even like thought about it, but like I can definitely see like where they're coming from. It's like everyone just like makes a big deal out of it and like makes it like a day to get drunk when it's like a big deal to them, like a different way.
Is it a big deal to them though, Eric? Is St. Patrick's Day a big deal other than a day of celebration? The answer is no. The answer is not. It's not a holy day. Yes, St. Patrick was a saint, but it's not a holy, day that it's not Ramadan, which is about fasting too, but like it's not Easter, Eric. Like that's what I'm trying to say.
But you can see when he's doing this, right? And this is what 5 years ago you said, and then we look at the article that we just saw, and this is what happens, right? They take it seriously. They're gonna out mental gymnastics you. So he's trying to do a gotcha from 5 years ago, and then you fast forward and they're like, you can't hire a leprechaun, because so they're basically doing not in the exact way that he's saying, but they're taking it and they're bringing it into their court and they're mutilating it, and now we're mad because you guys hired a leprechaun, like so, and that's what happens. So you got to stop playing by their rules.
Like
that's always really tough. I feel like that's like a really
touchy
subject. I don't like to like make an assumption about that when
I don't like to
Irish.
like
honestly,
I'm not Irish, so I can't have an opinion.
Would you be willing to potentially curtail the way you celebrated the holiday to avoid offending Irish Americans?
See, and there you
yeah. Now that honestly, if I put more thought into it, definitely, I feel like it should be more like.
They'll never stop doing it though.
It should be something that we talk.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it should definitely be put out there. Not really like educating yourself on like why it's celebrated.
He's got to get a wind puff.
It could be offensive.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone know why St. Patrick's Day is?
But why would you do like they would have to do this with Pride too though? They like Pride is supposed to be a celebration of like gay rights, and it's really just a drunk nudity fest of debauchery.
Correct.
And so if you're not if you're not there to celebrate, sexuality differences, then you're not doing it properly, and you should just stay home. None of them are going to do that. All these things are just to get an excuse to get drunk, Eric. The drag queen story time protests they have are just an excuse to go out there and meet with their losery friends. The Women's March is just an excuse to go out there and complain with each other. The March for Our Lives, the BLM riots were a party. It's none of it's actually for a cause. It's just the general theory behind it is supported by the machine. Therefore, they're allowed to do it. Everybody likes St. Patrick's Day because you drink and you party and you make bars and restaurants a lot of money. If it was, explicitly Catholic and right wing, then it wouldn't be allowed. It'd be shut down, and these girls would be coming out against it. But it's not that. It's just an excuse to get drunk. So they are like, oh, I never really thought about what the day means because I was just getting drunk. Whereas if it's pride, it's I never really thought about what the day means, but I support it anyways. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, you're going to support something when it allows you to get drunk and do whatever you want.
Celebrated though.
Not really.
Do you know?
Not really. But
So are you allowed to celebrate?
what?
Are you allowed to celebrate then if you don't know?
You could celebrate, but
Let me add my vocal fry.
should be educated.
What would be your message to an Irish American student on campus that felt offended when they saw people celebrating the holiday and getting drunk and not actually being Irish?
We're not bad people. I mean, we don't know a lot about your culture, and we're sorry, but you know, I don't know.
Does that same thing apply for them celebrating cultures that they aren't a part of?
Yes, I don't know.
That's another thing to your point, Eric. That's crazy music. But what that is kind of doing, and I know there was like a time and a place for a lot of this, and if this was like 2016 or 2017, you sort of had to prove that this was how people thought. But at the same time, you might be taking this person who doesn't care about any of this stuff and forcing them to become political in a way that is detrimental to the like society in a sense. Like this girl doesn't think about this stuff at all, and now you're getting her to think like maybe it is offensive to celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly. Yeah. And now because she's going to walk on eggshells and she's going to be scared into submission, and the cycle will continue, and they'll find another way to, you know, yeah.
What we need
I
is
can't
a
say that all.
Black leprechaun, you know.
Well, we
butter
had
or
a
something.
we had a black leprechaun earlier in the episode. We'll get the crackhead in the tree.
I guess so. Right, okay.
Did you think he was white?
Maybe crackhead. He could go either way, I guess. Meth head, he might have been white. UnAuthorizedOpinions.com, uopod.com will have all of our links on it. Eric, Report and Opine on Instagram. I'm Andrew Does. Watch, share, subscribe. Please leave us a review on all the audio channels. Until next time, somebody says, well said, Andrew. This girl doesn't think. I think that's the long and short of it here, Eric.
Shout out to the Twitch viewer watching all the way to the end.
That's right. Shout out to, you know, the weather's getting nicer, Eric. Can't see me pointing. This way. The weather outside is brightful. It's 10 degrees above zero. I don't know.
Turn it up, Jordan.